There are kids that, man, you give them something to do, you give them an assignment, and they can rock it. I mean, they can just fly with it. Their flywheel is turning, all right? Their flywheel is turning so quickly. If you're having trouble thinking about what a flywheel is or how it would turn, I want you to think of this thing that came into our lives, I don't know, sometime maybe last year. We'd never heard about it, but all of a sudden, it's a fidget spinner. You know a fidget spinner? You turn it and it gets going. Man, it is going. I learned about a fidget spinner, real quick, true story, and I know I'm running a little bit late, but I can't stop until I'm done. I have to tell you, the fidget spinner, I was subbing in Miss Delatorre's classroom. You know that I sub at Jess Harbin. I sub every year. I'm going to do it again because I'm going to walk in the teacher's shoes at least a couple of times every year. But I was subbing in Miss Delatorre's classroom, and fourth grade. And I hadn't subbed fourth grade before. And that was kind of a scary situation. And I really wanted to do a good job. So after lunch, I had my 11-minute lunch. And I went back to the class, and the kids are there. And, after the time between lunch and the time that school gets out is sometimes the hardest amount of time that there is. And so, but this one kid said, Dr. Stone, are we going to have Fun Friday? This was a Friday, by the way. And I said, well, what's Fun Friday? And he said, it's if we're good all week, then we get the last 15 minutes of the day off. And I thought, well, that sounds good. And then I looked over at this other little girl, and I said, how do I know if you've been good all week? And she goes, oh, we were so good. And I was like, okay, I can use this, right? I can learn something every time that I go into your classrooms. I can learn something. So, okay, I'm going to use Fun Friday. And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to use that. And so every time, and it worked. I mean, every time that, the kid falls out of his desk or somebody throws something, I was like, Fun Friday. And it's like, they get correct, they self-correct or whatever. So, of course, there was this one kid, and he didn't learn anything for 3 hours. He just watched the clock as it was going like this. But Fun Friday. Okay, so the last 15 minutes, and by the way, I really wanted to do a good job because I wanted, if Mrs. Good was going to do a walkthrough, I didn't want to get in trouble, So I wanted to do a good job. So it came down to the last 15 minutes. Okay, and they'd been perfect. I was like, this ain't going to be a problem. 15 minutes till, I'm like, okay, Fun Friday, scattered, blocks are coming out. They're setting up Monopoly games that they have, They're about to go away for the whole weekend, yet this 15 minutes of play is like the greatest, right? So there was this kid who was over here in this one little group, and I go over, and I can see that he has this group of kids kind of hovered around him, and I was like so afraid that he had cigarettes or something, and so, and I was going to get fired, and so, but I go over and I'm like, well, what do you have there? And he said, it's a fidget spinner. And I hadn't seen one. So I said, well, what is a fidget spinner? Like, how does it work? And so he has it on his finger and he's showing. I said, well, how do you turn it on? And he said, you don't turn it on. It stores energy in the middle and it keeps going. And when it starts going, it will go and it turns and turns and it'll keep going and keep going, keep going. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like a flywheel? And he's like, it is a flywheel. And he showed me what a fidget spinner can look like whenever it gets going. And it has the energy that's stored in the middle. That's what can happen when you get the flywheel going. Jim Collins says that if you keep pushing and you keep pushing this flywheel, it will get momentum and it will store up all of this energy in the middle of it, and then you won't be able to stop. It can't stop because it will start to move. If you really get it going, then it'll really move. And so started me thinking, okay, we've got to get this flywheel going. We've got to get this flywheel going for our students because we don't give up on kids. So we do have 39,000 of them coming. And I want you to know that number means a lot. I mean, we saw 10 of them up there, but there are 39,000 of them coming. That's almost 10 times the amount of people who have gathered in this room today, right? And I always like to look at it this way. 39,000 is this big, huge number. But on Monday morning at like 7:30, the very first one shows up. And she shows up at her school. She's the first one, okay? So I always like to think about this because on Monday morning, the very first day of school, the very first student shows up. And then the next one comes. The next one comes, and he shows up at his playground, right? Then the next one comes. Then the next one comes, and then the band shows up, and then the kids start getting there for junior high, and then the high school kids, they are coming, and the school buses are coming, and they're dropping off kids, and the next one comes, 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 and they all come to fill our empty, lonely playgrounds that have been standing empty all summer long. And all of our classrooms, all of these kids, they all come, and we have the opportunity, all of us, to help start the flywheel moving for them. We can't do it on our own. I can't do it on my own. I could go over there and I could try to start the flywheel going to get the movement, but I can't do it unless we have the belief and the commitment that all means all. All totally means all. And so, for all of these kids, for all of these students right here, will you help me to start the flywheel moving this year? Will you help me? If you believe that all means all, if you have a belief that 100% is a commitment that you are willing to accept and take on for every single student, each and every kid in this district, by your show of applause, I need to hear it because I want this flywheel to start moving. Yes. Because, y'all, because to teach, we love this whole new crop. To be a part of this year, Can't Stop, RISD teachers, it's all for you. These kids we love, and each desktop to be a part of this year, Can't Stop, celebrate the greatness of you.
Can't stop addicted to the shindig. Can't stop because we're gonna win big. Choose not a life of limitation. Distinct cousin to the imitation. You teach so you can make a difference. Promote and use the skill of inference. In time the bell will be your best friend, and you will not want the day to ever end. Knock out the plans for each and every kid. We will do better than we ever did. Go write your message on the pavement. Burn so bright I wonder what the wave meant. Relationships are for the taking. Good grades are all that we'll be making. We are so ready to be growing. Come on, staff, let's all get up and go. future generation. The birth of every other notion. Worth your weight, the beauty of the ocean. This chapter's going to be a great one. New record, we are gonna break one. Tremendous teachers persevering. Make big dreams and keep together steering. Can't stop the students when they need you. This cafeteria's gonna feed you. I know that this will be a great year. We're so close to the bell, I can already teach me another whole new crop to be part of the year. Can't stop RISD teachers, it's all for you. To teach we love and each desktop to be part of this year. Can't stop, celebrate the greatness of you. Wait a minute, I'm starting out win or lose, just like you. Far more reaching than anything we ever knew. How about you? 10 more reasons why I need somebody new, just like you. Far more reaching than anything you'll ever know. Here we go. Can't stop, addicted to the shindig. Can't stop because we're gonna win big. Choose not a life of limitation. Distant cousin to the imitation. You teach so you can make a difference. Promote and use the skill of inference. In time, the bell will be your best friend, and you will not want the day to ever end. Knock out the plans for each and every kid. We will do better than we ever did. Go write your message on the whiteboard. Burn so bright, just like you use a light sword. Can't wait to hear the bus go vroom vroom. Can't wait to head into the classroom. Can't stop the kids from ever coming. I can hear the benches of the drumming. Just open up the dictionary. This life is more than ordinary. Can I get a cheer or maybe 2 or 3's RISD teachers from the best ISD? Can't stop our teachers, and I must brag. This life is more than just a hashtag.